what's that guy's name?
Good.
Bevoir or something like that.
Yeah, yeah.
But anyway, I don't know how to speak French.
I
But
don't remember.
I
It
hate
was
it.
a while
I
ago, but I
really,
remember the one you're talking
by the
about.
end of the book, I was literally just reading to get through it and not enjoying it at all.
Yeah.
And so much of it's gotten to be, because I'm reading them one after the other, they get redundant.
Yeah.
So, and that's not fair to her in some ways. But, she
Yeah,
keeps,
you might need to take
she
a
says the
break,
same
but
things all over and over, especially about the raid and talking about him being feeling guilty. I mean, they do it every time, and I don't see why we keep revisiting that. As in, you don't have anything else to do, or couldn't you write a mystery?
Did you ever read that author, the detective guy that was living here in Stanton?
I did. I read
Yeah,
one of
he
his.
was right down. He would write down her Hardee's and stuff. I mean,
Yeah.
it wasn't the best writing in the world, but I liked it because you could just I knew all the
Yeah,
places
same
he was
here.
talking about and stuff.
I
Who?
forget
What's his
his name,
name?
but
Yeah, I can't remember either.
he had like a book signing or something at.
You
Well,
read
he
it at
isn't there
Hardee's?
anymore,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
he'd sit at this Hardy's right over
Yeah, he
here.
would go sit at Hardee's and write every morning.
I think I have that book. I'll look for it and give it to you.
Oh, I'd like to read
I
it.
think you might have read it already. If you say it, it might remind you. But because you may have told me about the book signing in the first place, but the local writer.
Not a
It was
lo-
many. It was
Something,
several years
wasn't
ago.
it?
What's that?
Didn't he have the book sign at a brewery or something?
Yeah. Yeah. In
What
Terry
kind of
Ford.
books is it?
They're modern day mysteries. That was
But it's funny because he talks about like the stoplight that lasts forever at Greenville Avenue, and I'm like, oh my god, I know that stoplight. He like
in like Verona, the
yeah,
detention center or whatever. And yeah, there's things.
and he used to always talk.
That's
He
funny.
used to always talk about the crazy hotel, the scary hotel, and I always imagined it was that hotel right across from Hardee's.
That's.
That hard.
I just got a book from a former student who, David Lott,
Oh wow!
and Michael Hensley sent me his book. David died last year, and they got it published just a few months before he died.
Oh wow.
And it's just short stories, but it's about it's stories that he's made up from living in a small southern town. Obviously, it's all about Stanton,
Right.
so you're looking for those references.
Right.
Like he has a teacher that was named Mr. Goodlow. Well, you think, well, is that Mr. Goodlow?
Right.
But I was doing all that, but uh, same thing you're saying you were doing with but there wasn't that much. And unfortunately, there was something I didn't like the stories very much. The byline in the front by some guy, a friend of his was writing the thing and said, "Dark and funny." Well, it's hard to be dark and funny because one will usually win out. But it was funny, but there was a edge to it that wasn't happy. It wasn't happy funny. It was like this is not all right. But that's where
he was alive when it was published.
he did get to see it published.
That's good.
And, but he was a wonderful person, and I have found a thing he wrote a long time ago about his first day of of school in my class.
Oh wow!
And he wrote it for like an English paper his senior year, and somebody printed it and gave it to me because it was about Mr. Moore's classroom.
I got a lot of comments this week about how much the cats liked me, so that's good. They were like, "Wow, had cats all over you the whole time."
They're not always like that either.
Well, I was thinking that Catherine, you should become part of the show, kind of like just out there, the voice of reason, and
Boring. Move on to to something else.
Exactly. Try something else. This isn't working.
All of a sudden, all the lights go off.
When I look over there, what am I doing on there? Looking off the screen?
I see you looking at him.
Really?
Oh yeah, you're looking at that direction. Yeah. Now you're looking at him on the screen.
Yeah.
Now, do you have training and all this, or this is all trial and error?
You guys look at each other.
Loving
Look
it.
at that.
Yeah.
Nailing it. And does that look okay?
Yep.
All right. So do you guys want to go live to Facebook this time, or should we wait till next time?
I don't care. I'm live wherever you want to put me. You can.
I just have to, before we do the next one, I have to figure out what to tell people. Because people are like, how do I get it?
Oh, wait, yours.
I'm so lazy.
How? Right. Well, let's talk about that in just a second. I'm not hearing your microphone right now. Will you tap it for me? Yeah. It's weird because it says it's connected.
A pacemaker's not interfering with it, is it?
All this technology, when it works, it's like a miracle. But then when it doesn't, it's the most frustrating thing in the world.
You sit on your dad's lap and talking to his at the same
Hey, no way. We're not gonna start that.
Yeah, his sounds real good. I'll tell you that much.
It'll be like a puppet. Like you have like a mannequin.
Well, you can do that. You can sit over here and I'll put my hand up.
Why does the mannequin always turn his head towards the microphone?
Want to talk again?
Hello.
There you are.
And talk more distinctly.
The old
please.
reset.
Stop mumbling. That's my request.
Okay.
So you're saying it's hard to tell people where to find it?
Well, it's not hard to. I'm just so ignorant. I don't know what to tell them.
Right.
But if you can give me some direct, like some,
Well, there's a Nathan's Land Facebook page, and there's a Nathan's Land YouTube channel. Both of which have not been used much. The website, nathansland.com, is a good first step.
Okay.
Send them there first.
nathansland.com.
Mm-hmm. And then there's links. There's going to be, and there will be links to YouTube and Facebook after tonight or whatever. But
Okay.
that could be the hub to get everybody.
Okay.
nathansland.com. And eventually, if we get, rigorous, we could have a schedule on there or something. Thursdays at 7 or something like that. Whatever we want to do. I didn't do anything with the last one.
Yeah, I was wondering what happened to it.
Well, it takes so long to edit stuff.
Yeah.
And I didn't think the raw one did us justice.
Well, sure. Oh, yeah, it's your call.
Didn't have this new camera, so a lot of times I was switching to this camera that just was like on the back of my head and with your two little heads like in the distance. And I was just trying to.
What camera's looking at you?
This one is now.
Okay.
Now I got it off. I just got this today, so that's pointed at Kyle, and that one's at you, and this one's at me, and
So
we can all three cleanly be on the same screen at the same time. Look at that. You can't see it from there, but it's beautiful. It's glorious.
Well, I'm glad I can't see it. How do I look?
Good.
I never checked my hair last time. We need to check before we go live.
It might be, babe, will you cut that light off over there? Might not need it.
There's some mystery here in the.
I think that's a lot better.
Yeah, less light the better.
Well, it puts us all in the same scene too, a little bit better. I have the nicest camera. You're probably gonna each want to get you one of these. Just saying. It takes 10 years and 10 pounds off.
That wouldn't make a dent in my problem.
All right, I'll go ahead and
You don't have the ability to do a show where all of our faces are blurred out and we have disguised voices.
Right,
Do you? That'd be pretty funny to do.
that would be
An
pretty funny.
undercover show.
Let's do that for a particular topic.
That's
Coming
true.
to you from
We'll come in. We'll have like
Places we can't
the confessional night or something. Or
All right, Nathan. I
It's-
told you
it's-
no names.
it's still the three of us, but our voices are disguised and our faces are blurred out, and we're telling all of our terrible stories.
And what do you think, Kyle?
Just getting it
Who?
all off our
Kyle,
chest.
you. No.
Kyle who? Kyle who? I don't know. I don't know what you're talking about. I've never met a Kyle. We'll give Dad like a Mickey Mouse voice.
I've always liked Elmer Fudd.
Yeah, Elmer Fudd's a good one.
Never done him. I can't do Elmer Fudd, but I would like to. So what are we going to talk about tonight?
I don't know. It's a good question.
Shouldn't we have talked about that before we started?
Probably.
Did you tell him what you brought?
Well, we're not on Facebook yet.
Yeah. Well, I brought. What did you think about my idea about you doing a song?
I'm ready.
Oh my gosh, I didn't have.
Did
I
you
didn't.
find a song?
Did you do your homework?
Gosh,
I
No.
understand. I
Sweet Home
understand.
Alabama.
No, you were supposed to listen
I
to some
know.
of his
I'm not
songs.
good at. Oh, one of my friends was when we were listening wants to know if you're a Grateful Dead fan.
Sure.
If what?
If he's a Grateful Dead fan, we were listening to his songs, and one of the guys was like, "Man, I think I want to talk to this guy. I like his music. Is he a Grateful Dead fan?" I said, "I don't know if he is or not." He goes, "Man, where's he playing?" I was like, "Look, I've only done this one time. I don't know. Are you playing again anytime soon?"
No, I just perform from here these days for the most part. Every now and again, I'm doing a thing where there's a series the local group is doing where they have a musical act play a song or two before a movie at the Visualite.
Oh, I've heard about
And
that.
I'm playing a song or two before the Leonard Cohen documentary called Hallelujah.
Oh, when's that gonna be?
December 6th, I
Oh,
think.
wow. I wanted to go to the
I gotta
Brilliant, but I didn't
confirm
make
that.
it down there.
I've been to one, and apparently I really missed something for the David Bowie one.
Yeah.
Apparently that was really good.
Who did it?
I forget who the band was, but it's the people that own the Ciders from Mars place.
Yeah, is it the lady that's in the band?
Mm-hmm. And apparently the band is phenomenal.
She seems so shy every time I'm down there. I can't imagine her.
Apparently she busts out of that shell when she does her David Bowie tribute. And
Wow.
Ciders from Mars is a David Bowie reference. So,
Is that right?
mhm.
I didn't know that.
How,
The Findels are playing there tomorrow night.
Oh, really?
did you see that? 43 years they've been together. It's their
I know.
43rd
I had
anniversary.
their album was so inspiring to me when I was a kid because I was like, oh my God, this band is from Stanton. And I was like, it was an album. So it was just like
Right.
all my other albums. Like there's no difference between Led Zeppelin
Right.
and the Findels, except the Findels are from Stanton. I might see them out there,
Right.
like the Statler Brothers.
They're a very interesting dynamic of this town, but also I have never understood why they didn't. I don't know Alan what he wants, but I don't think he ever wanted to be that famous. But they're that good.
Yeah, they can
I
really
mean,
do
when they cover something,
Mm-hmm.
I'd rather hear him do it than the original a lot of times, especially Flowers on the Wall.
Mm-hmm.
that. Yeah, they are.
But no, I like Flowers on the Wall by the Statler Brothers too. I didn't mean that.
classic.
Yeah, but I'm just saying that I think the Findels are amazing, and I always have. But I don't understand why they're not bigger. But
Right.
they've pretty much stayed the same, and I think maybe a lot of that's because that's what they want. I don't think they really want to travel, or they're all old and got jobs and everything. Early on, they all had jobs. So they weren't a traveling band ever, really. You had to come to them.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
43 years, is that what you said?
Yeah, it's the 43rd anniversary.
Yeah, this
tomorrow
is
night.
their.
Is that what they're celebrating tomorrow night?
Yep.
Yeah.
Wonder if there's a day of the year I know if they have it down to the year, I wonder if they have it down to the day.
I think they said something about the first practice or
First
something.
practice,
I'm not
right.
sure.
I wouldn't remember that for any of my other bands.
Yeah.
I'd struggle with the year.
I remember the first time I saw them, I was 16, 'cause they played like a high school graduation party or something. Like the school had sponsored like a party, and it was at the old McCormick's.
Oh, in McCormick's.
And the Findels played, and there's a bunch of high school students.
Oh my
walking
God,
around.
that's weird.
I was like, oh my God. It's like those guys, like if they've been doing it for 43 years, they must have been like in their 20s, back then.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
I remember Alan he took the tokens at were you old enough to go to Video Syncrasy?
Video.
Oh, yeah.
Syncrasy.
Yeah,
remember
McCormick's was down there in the
In
basement.
the basement?
Yeah.
Oh, I became fast friends with that guy.
Yeah, Alan was like the guy that gave him your money and he gave you change and stuff.
They had Faces of Death.
Oh, wow.
Talking about in the basement of McCormick.
Yeah.
Joe McHugh owned that.
And there was
he
an
did?
arcade.
Yeah.
That's what I'm thinking.
Yeah.
And right next to the arcade was the video store.
Right.
And that was like my first experience with like an independently owned video store
Right.
where there were movies you'd never heard of before,
Right, yeah.
based on their taste. And I remember back left corner, bottom shelf. That you're ruffling your microphone there, just so you know.
Is it ruffled?
No, just when you're doing that, it's really loud.
But I remember like years, probably like in the late 1990s, my brother was talking about going to Video Secrecy. I was like, what's Video Secrecy? He's like, you don't remember that thing? I was like, it was Video Syncrasy, not, he goes, I always called it Video Secrecy. I was like, his secret game room down there.
Do you remember Faces of Death?
Oh, yeah. Getting attacked by bears and all that deer standing up.
It was like the first, that first internet or something. It was these videos that were just like people dying and stuff.
From
Faces of
strange
Death.
ways.
Yeah, and like weird, like where they eat the live brain of a monkey
Oh my
in some
God.
countries or whatever.
They have
Like,
they have a
video.
table, and the hole in the middle of the monkey's head is out. And they beat it over the head till it dies. And
Yeah, the fresher the better. It's horrific.
How disgusting.
But when you're like 15, you're like, oh my
man,
God.
we love that stuff.
Oh, you're not supposed to be seeing any of this.
It would be
There's
like
a guy getting hit by a car. It was like the early internet.
it'd be like people like getting out of their car to take a picture of a deer, and the deer would stand up on its back feet and just come at it, like hit him over the head or something.
Well, what was it? It was a video.
Videos.
Yeah, Faces
Videos.
of
You
Death.
had to go to like independent video stores to get them.
And you'd buy them and take them home
You
and
just
watch them
rent,
over and over
rent
again.
them.
Oh my God.
Mm-hmm.
What a sick world.
Yeah, that's when it all started.
And that,
Yeah, it
And that-
sounds like it. The very
That
beginning.
was the beginning.
and that's what you were teaching all those sick 15, 16 years old. the night before class, they were watching Faces of
Yeah.
Death.
That's
I
right.
was having
The next
very
day
little-
they were dissecting stuff in biology class.
I was home with a raccoon eating out of my stomach.
I asked him on the way over here, I said, explain this story about feeding a raccoon from your belly button.
Right. Yeah, I was wondering how you do that too.
Well, first of all, you have to have an innie. And I don't have one. I haven't had an innie in 43 years. So. But yeah, you don't remember that? Because you were around.
Not sure.
I had a little baby raccoon. He was about that big. And
Named Tiny, I hear.
his name was Tiny. And we were living at Franksville. And Joe and Dan would come over. And I found him walking along the road one morning when I went outside. And his mother had been hit by a car or something. He was by himself. So I adopted him and brought him in and wanted to show him to the boys or anything. But I would warm up milk and pour it in my belly button, and he would just crawl up and start. And he'd lick out of my belly button. And he'd finish, and I'd pour some more in. And the boys would come over. It was a wonderful, wonderful thing.
Papa Bear.
Brought out all of my maternal instincts that I didn't even know I had. But,
Faces of Life video. Your
Right.
dad feeding a raccoon from his belly button.
Faces of Life.
we
That's
had
what
to
we
go
need.
back and explain that on Facebook. A lot of people think I'm with Faces of Death. I probably killed it or something. I don't know.
The raccoon probably still remembers you.
Well, I'm sure some of his family members.
He's told him about you.
They go by and they say, "Hey, there's that house where that guy used to live." Remember Tiny? Tiny,
Granddad used to go in there.
Granddad Tiny. Yeah, just living in the country,
Yeah.
finding entertainment where you find it.
You had a lot of time with wounded or found animals. It was a big part of my upbringing. What'd you have in what? Oh, there's
what was in the
something rustling around in that trash can over there. What's in there? A mole? Might be a mole. Moles are a weird animal.
They really are.
Blind mammals living underground. It's weird,
I'll tell you what's weird. Animals a shrew.
right?
Not many people know about shrews. They're so quick and smart. But
Shrew.
they're amazing.
They're shrew.
They just run around. When they hit something, if it moves, they try to eat it.
Oh, God.
I mean, they'll eat something. They'll kill a field mouse, and the shrew's that big, and the field mouse is like that, and they'll just go attack it and kill it and eat it right there.
They have little snouts, right?
They have a little snout.
How do they kill the mouse?
They have really sharp teeth.
Wow.
Underneath that snout is a row of
Oh man.
biting teeth, and they don't mess around. They fight anything.
Do they live underground too?
No. They live in the between the grass, the dead grass. There's usually a layer of.
We have those here.
Oh yeah,
I don't remember seeing them very much.
yeah. You don't. Nobody sees them very much.
They're like
I've
gnomes.
only seen about 5 in my whole life.
Amazing.
They're around.
Isn't there a story, This Taming of the Shrew?
Yeah, what does that mean?
Is that Henry James? Who wrote that? I can't remember who wrote
Is
that.
it Shakespeare?
Shakespeare.
Oh, is it?
Yeah. Yeah. A shrewish woman is a woman that
Oh,
sees you and eats you.
gosh, man.
Hey, Clutch, good to see you out there. Clutch says, yum, came in right at the monkey murder. He's like, the good old days before the internet. Did you ever see Faces of Death when you were younger?
Man, that was a highlight. I think they showed it on Showtime even. If you stayed up late enough on Showtime,
Oh,
they had
really?
cable back in the day, they'd have that on. I remember me and my brother waking each other up. Wake up, wake up!
It's on.
Faces of Death is coming on. I don't think I've ever seen a shrew either. Does it look like a rat or?
They're very small.
Should we look it up?
They're very small, and they do look like a rat. They have a long snout, longer than a mouse, but they're gray and very. They look like a mouse in terms of general size. They have a tail, and
Would they live off live prey?
they're carnivores.
Wow.
Actually, I think they're classified as insectivores, which means mainly they.
Right.
But yeah,
You don't want to mess with them.
you don't want to mess with a shrew. He'll take your finger off. You won't even know what's gone until the pain hits you.
Shakespeare.
They're quick. They're very fast.
There's one right there.
Oh, that's sort of cute.
Yeah, they are kind of cute. There's a pygmy shrew and a short-tailed shrew.
Yeah, come here, little guy. That's the kind of thing I would try to befriend when I was a kid. Wind up losing a finger. Like, oh. I remember once Dad had he had this mouse that was driving him crazy, and he spent days trying to catch this mouse in all different kinds of ways. And he finally got the thing, and he put it in a trash can so I could see it. He knew I'd want to see it before he got rid of it. So he had it in his trash can, and I just recently seen The Beastmaster. I don't know if either of you remember that movie, but this guy could communicate with animals, so I was convinced I could probably do that too. So I was bonding with this mouse, and I got to the point where I was like, I bet I could pet it. And I just started petting this mouse, and I'm just sitting there, and it's letting me pet it. I couldn't believe it. I'm like, I am the Beastmaster. Me and this guy are completely communicating. All of a sudden, it reaches back and chomps down on my finger.
Oh my
I
gosh.
scream. I go like this and go like that, and it holds on all the way up and flings off of my finger, across the room, hits the fridge, falls down and back under the fridge.
Oh, no.
Dad was pissed. I spent days trying to catch that thing. And then I spent the next few hours terrified because the idea was put out that I probably had to go get 50 shots in my stomach or something for tetanus or whatever it is. Rabies or
Rabies.
When the mouse had tasted blood, he's probably looking for you. I can smell Nathan in one of these bedrooms.
not the Beastmaster.
God, what happened to movies like that?
Beastmaster?
Or is it just when you're a kid, movies are so much cooler than
I think
they are now?
it's so hard to do the math on that. Is nothing as cool as it used to be, or are we just not as cool as we used to be? Like whether it's music, because it seems like there's really compelling arguments either way.
Right.
Like I could go off for the next 20 minutes about how popular music is terrible now.
Right.
Next thing you know, some kid comes in singing the new song I've never heard
Right.
of in my life. It's just so hard to.
Yeah.
But then again, it almost seems quantifiable too, that you could break it down and prove with an Etch-a-Sketch or something that popular music, is nowhere what it used to be.
Right.
So it's. I've had to check myself on that. So am I just old now?
Right.
Before I express this opinion, like it's some kind of conviction, I have to check my age. It's so hard to keep up.
But it's also in the old days, if you said you saw a movie, you actually went and paid and sat in a theater to see it. Now, like, everybody's seen every good movie that ever was.
Right.
They've never left their bedroom. You know?
Right.
Oh, yeah, I've seen that. And I saw his first movie that was never released. And you're like, oh, my God. Did you pay $5 to go sit in the theater to see
Right.
it?
And that experience made it so special and indelible. Right now we
yeah.
have access to so much and we see so much that it's hard to even remember one from the other.
Oh, yeah.
There's nothing to put it in context.
Right.
Like, oh, I went down with Jack and I remember, I'll never forget that day. We decided to take in a movie in Baltimore.
Oh,
So, you know,
yeah.
like, I'm just making all
Right.
that up, but just the context of
Oh,
what you
yeah.
experience something in would
Yeah.
help you remember it, be able to retrieve it from your memory better.
And when we went, Richmond had a theater called the Biograph. It just showed like independent and foreign movies and stuff. And they had a movie about, I don't know if it was Ed Gein or Ed Gein, you know, the mass murderer guy.
Mm.
So it's a theater that holds maybe like 100 people or 75 people. You know, we go in there on a Saturday. We're the only people in there. And we're like, oh, this is cool. We get to see this horror movie by ourselves. And this guy comes in and sits directly behind us. And so we're automatically thinking, no, this is like a movie about a mass murder, really scary guy. And this guy has to sit right behind us. Like, he can't find somewhere else to sit. And we're sitting there about 20 minutes into it. You hear some metal thing fall from him. And we both, like, just sat in our chairs. Like, does he have a knife? Like, we didn't know. Like, we were, like, too scared to even turn around. We just sat there, like, petrified for, like, the whole movie. Like, dude, you couldn't find a seat to sit beside right behind us.
You should have moved. He would have followed you
Well,
over.
well, the thing is, we were like, if we get up, is he gonna stab us? Is he just waiting for us to like show fear? Like, it's like facing a bear. You know, you gotta. I'm not scared of you.
Right. That is true. Show and fear is one of the most dangerous things you can do out there in the wild.
Remember we went and saw. Oh my gosh. What's the Tarantino movie where the like Mr. Red or that's Like one of the first Tarantino movies, the guys are all dressed in suits and the ties and
Reservoir
stuff.
Dogs?
Yeah, we went and saw Reservoir Dogs. And we were, just violent as can be, just we're walking out and this older guy by himself walks out and he just walked up to us and said, "What'd you think?" We're like, "Oh man, that was crazy." He said, "That wasn't really nothing." Like, what? We just saw people beaten to death and, they didn't even care. They were hurting people. That was nothing.
No, that was nothing. Compared to what?
That's what I was thinking. I hope you're not going home to a family. I hope you're going home by yourself.
So if we're gonna go live to Facebook, we should do it, or not. The other option is to not go live to Facebook, but then play the recording live to Facebook. We could all watch
Is
that.
there
or something.
an option where you would edit it first and then put it on?
And
Facebook?
we could edit it first, and then absolutely.
I think there's going to be a lot of blank downtime. I think it might need to be edited.
Okay. Once we come up with a name for the show, I can have like opening like graphics and stuff too, a little 10-second intro or whatever, like a real show.
I trust you with all the logistics.
How about votes on the Jawn?
I don't think it covers anything that we do or it has anything to do with us, so I think that's fine. That'd be good. I'm good with that.
I'd forgotten about the Jabberjaw cartoon when I was deep diving last night trying to search for references if it was stolen already, which the Three Tall Kings, which I still think is a great name for the show, is already the Tall King podcast is already something on iTunes. So somebody already realized how good that one was, so I don't have to pitch that idea. There was, what'd you have, the Stanton Clatch?
What am I afraid Laura? Yeah, that's Stanton Clatch or something.
Stanton Coffee Clatch.
Yeah.
That's a German word.
I can't believe y'all didn't like Bob Chillin' in the Basement apes after Bob Dylan in the Basement tapes.
Oh, I didn't even get it. Bob Chillin' in the Basement apes. Ah. Yeah, I didn't get that one. I'm not always that quick.
Well, we did around with the two and playing on that. And
Well, Lex and I have already done that, though. That's the problem.
That was what you were saying, but
I feel like anybody in my universe would be like, "Oh, the whole other's playing." There's,
Well, I was thinking of Two and Toothless.
Right.
But I just thought I'd throw that out. Maybe not serious.
How did you lose your teeth?
Well, a doctor took a.
But was it a football? Was it a sports injury or anything?
Well, when I was about 11, I got hit right here, and killed 3, and there's 3 right in the front.
Wow.
The rest of them, I
just followed suit.
I have bad teeth, and or weak teeth. I have weak teeth, and so, and I was very undisciplined about brushing too. I didn't find pleasure in brushing my teeth, so there was a period in my life when I didn't do things that weren't pleasurable. So, still not quite out of that phase, but I'm all right.
The one thing he found pleasurable was feeding a raccoon from his belly button.
Well, yes,
I haven't brushed my teeth in years, but oh my God.
I definitely enjoyed that.
Clean his belly button around.
You pretty much do things, and if you enjoy them, you keep doing them.
Oh yeah.
I do have an addictive personality, but I have ADHD, so that's the only thing that's kept me from being addicted to one thing. I get pulled over to something else.
Okay.
At one time, I had 7 things I was addicted to. Only 3 of them were women.
What were the other 4?
Oh, I knew somebody was going to say that. I don't really have. Well, gambling and alcohol were the two main ones. And there were places where that would go, like watching a ball game, but that was related to being drunk and betting on the ball game. So who
Now, in the old days, how did you bet? Was there like a bookie or a guy in town or something?
I bet with a bookie. I did it all. I was a bookie for a while.
Oh, wow.
Couldn't handle the moral ground.
So people had to come up to you like at the bar or something, and they.
No, I had a
Runners?
number of people that would call me.
Okay.
You know, being a bookie is not gambling.
Right.
Being a bookie is making money.
Right.
And so I didn't like that. The truth is, I didn't like being somebody's addiction. I felt guilty, and legitimately so.
Did you ever have to break any knuckles or anything?
That's what I was wondering.
No, I ended up getting stiff though. I ended up people not paying me.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, they can just get too
And you
far.
didn't send a big friend. You didn't. Did you have a bully, a strong friend that you
No,
would
I
send to
didn't
collect?
go there. That's why I quit, because I
Right.
couldn't do that kind of stuff. But I just
And once people talk about smelling blood, once people realize that you weren't going to make them pay, that was probably the end of that.
well, it just was a question of how much. In other words, they'd get in over their head.
Mm-hmm.
They would pay a little bit, and try to work it all. I mean, I wasn't trying to make that much money. I wasn't a big time bookie.
No. Were you the end of the line, or were you like filtering up to Atlantic City? Or
Yeah, that's a
something?
good question. I did have other people. I did have my bookies
Right.
that they were dealing with hundreds of dollar bettors, and I was betting. I was
Man, you
dealing
really-
with $10 or $20 or $50 bettors.
Wow.
Did you ever have to not take a bet from somebody, either because you thought they were making too big of a bet, or you couldn't cover it, or you thought that was
Well, I would. I mean, we had a working agreement about how much you could bet.
Gotcha.
There was a limit for each person,
gotcha?
and they would usually make that limit. They wanted to have a limit,
Mm-hmm.
but I wasn't trying to be a big time bookie. I was just trying to make enough money to pay for my gambling.
Right.
Now, was it only sports? Like, was there elections and all that?
All
type-
I did was sports.
Okay.
It's like the college pot dealer that's just trying to get make enough to have free pot.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly. That's exactly what I was doing.
All these things are now legal,
Yeah.
Yeah.
which is takes some of the romance out of it.
Well, I don't know. It's totally different, but it is remarkable to be able to not have that little guilt thing going behind you when you're driving down the road with a joint. I don't do that
Right.
because I don't smoke,
It's huge.
but it is a big deal.
There's probably a lot less people now saying pot makes me paranoid.
It's a really interesting discussion about, that's what it does do is still make you have the munchies. You still shouldn't go to the grocery store, but paranoia, yeah. But,
Now, is alcohol, is that a bad combination with betting? Do people get drunk and try to make bets they wouldn't make in their straight mind?
I did. I can only speak for myself.
Oh, man.
Those addictions can go hand in hand to take you
Right.
down a bad road.
Wow.
But no, I think a lot of people, the rush of gambling is separate than the rush of alcohol. What you do is you get the rush of the betting one way or the other. Either you win a lot and you're celebrating, or you're depressed, and then you start drinking. So
No, wait a minute. So were you doing this so long ago there was like no ESPN? You had to like wait for the paper to come out the next day? And like,
oh no, we had ESPN.
Okay, so it wasn't like back when you had to.
He got a satellite. He
Did
had
the
a
Dodgers
satellite
win?
dish.
You didn't have to wait till the next day to see if the Dodgers had won
Oh
the big
no,
game.
no, we were watching them. We had cars and everything. We didn't have wagons. We had actual cars.
Dad had one of the first satellite dishes,
Oh, right.
which maybe you got for sports.
Well, I
One
got
of
it so I could watch television.
at all. That's right. You're in the country. There wouldn't.
I was in the country. But that was an amazing time.
Mm-hmm.
That was the Wild West.
I love the early days of all this technology, the internet or any of this stuff. The Wild West vibe is so true. I remember the internet is so sterile now compared to
Oh, yeah.
to what it used to be. But the satellite dish was
Satellite
fascinating.
dish, you could, if you just play around with it, the knobs, and you could get a porn channel. So you're getting your porn for free.
There was no set list either. I mean, there might have been a few set channels you knew, but a lot of it was just like a shortwave radio. You're just moving it through the sky and like, oh, something's coming in. You just move it a little bit, like, whoa. And you were getting like raw feeds. I mean, it was like some of the sports stuff he would watch was a raw feed. So when they went to commercial on network, we were still with the commentators in the stadium. It was the raw feed that was being sent to the network.
Wow.
Where they would add the commercials. But
you wouldn't believe, because they didn't think they were on the air anymore.
no, they
so
weren't.
They would say anything they were thinking.
Right.
But the most fun for a boy the most fun was you'd have a ball game on, and they'd go to commercial. So the cameraman, the different cameraman would start playing a game, and they would try to get as many upskirt shots as they could. And it was disgusting. And they would say, oh, there's this girl over here. You know, they were just being chauvinist pigs right there on television. I mean, you couldn't.
Satellite.
They would be taken off the air now. They would lose their job and everything. But back then, nobody knew except me.
Mm-hmm.
Except you.
There was no internet to share it on. It was just
It was crazy.
gone in real time.
That lasted about 2 or 3 years. Then it got civilized.
Now, people that have the dish now, I guess it's just all
Can't do
safe
that
and
now.
sound.
It's
now.
all controlled now.
It is. I don't even know if they make satellite dishes like you had anymore. I don't even know if they would get anything.
You can get them in the Ukraine, I'm sure.
Right.
How big was it? Like a big old.
Oh, it was big.
One of those big ones.
Yeah. From that light to that light. It was a big old thing.
When we lived in
You
Richmond,
could shoot down aircraft.
when we lived in Richmond, our neighbors, the new neighbors moved in. One day they came over and asked if they could put their satellite dish in our yard. And I was like, in our yard? Why? They go, the guy said it'd be better if it was in your yard. And I
Love
said,
the
well, how big
trees.
is it? He said, well, it's going to be on a pole with a big thing. And I was like, well, I don't want that in the front yard. He goes, well, it'll be better in your yard. We'll get better reception. I was like, but I don't want to come on every day and see a satellite dish in my front yard. That guy was so mad at me for not letting him put it in.
That's a ridiculous request.
Yeah,
God.
I think so too.
No. You know what? Did you watch some upstairs? Was it sounding good and looking good?
I didn't watch upstairs.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I think we're good. Way better than last week. It's already just getting exponentially better each time.
It'll be like a high def next week.
So what's the name of the show?
Jabber Jawn.
Jabber Jawn. And when I tell people, I'm not even going to spell it for them. I'll let them think it's like John, like an
Yeah.
outhouse or something. And
This
then
Jabber John, we're all sitting on a toilet sitting here.
it's not a bad cover.
we're all on like a pot.
Three outhouses
Yeah.
next to each other.
Three-holer.
And then when they tune in, they'll be like, "Oh, it's JAWN. What is that? What does that mean? With an apostrophe or not? Implied apostrophe?
I don't know where you're getting the Jawn, so I can't comment.
I Googled it last night, and after I read it, I still couldn't figure out what it was. It's like, it's something like so insignificant, or it just pops up, you really don't know what it is, so you're just like,
What did it say?
It was something that like you really don't have a name for, it's so insignificant, like you're not going to bother trying to figure it out what it is.
Chiefly in eastern Pennsylvania, used to refer to a thing, place, person, or event that one need not or cannot give a specific name to.
Yeah.
Oh, that's perfect.
It's sort of perfect.
Yeah.
And jabberjawing is a sort of colloquial thing for running off at the mouth.
True.
So it's clever. there's some depth there,
Yep.
and it's fun to say. Jabberjawn. The Jabberjawn, or should it the Jabberjawn or just Jabberjawn?
Just Jabberjawn.
What do you think?
3 Jabberjawn.
3 Jabberjawns. 3 tall Jabberjawn kings. 3 tall kings. I was ready to embrace that. I mean, I went out and bought some Old Spice and everything. I was like, let's just do this. Someone tunes into 3 tall kings, and the 3 of us are sitting here all slumped in our seats with our bellies. And like, oh, you're watching 3 tall kings here on YouTube. Let's figure this world out.
Wasn't that like a Iraqi war movie with Marky Mark and stuff? The 3 Kings.
Like in Syria. No, not Syria.
Yeah, where was it? Somewhere.
Iraq, maybe? Something about black market?
Yeah, they found something. Yeah, they were trying to sell it. Then people were out to get them. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I paid to see that. It's another movie I paid to see.
Do you have cable at home now?
Mm-hmm.
Same as him? Is it what, Comcast or something?
Xfinity. Yeah.
Xfinity.
Comcast.
Yeah.
Same thing. Yeah. I mean, they're together.
We don't have, we just do the streaming
Right.
stuff plus antenna. Antenna is brilliant. I still can't get over how well it works.
Yeah, I have friends that just get like Hulu or those stick. I don't even know what a stick is. But
Fire
those
stick.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't understand what's going on, so I just whatever they knock on the door and offer me, I take it. If I turn the TV on, will something be there? Yes, sir, it will. I'll take it. I remember when we first got internet in Richmond, or I mean cable, and the guy came by. It's like $79 a month. I'm like, oh, okay. And the bill came, it was like $153. And I was like, wait a minute. And I called, and the guy kept saying, calm down. He told me it was $79. It's $100. He's like, yes, we didn't tell you. The guy didn't tell you the taxes and the fees. And I was like, oh, so you have some guy knock on your door telling you it's $79. They don't tell you that, and then you got to pay for every, law ever passed since TV was invented,
I should flip this camera.
Now, how'd you learn how to do all this stuff live?
Just doing it.
You're probably the only person ever to have a picture of a shrew broadcast for like 30 minutes. It's probably Guinness Book of World Records. We should call them up now. Longest still picture of a shrew. Nathan Moore, the Guinness Book of World Records. The Jabberjaw.
This is gonna be better now. Because before when I was looking at you on the show, now it's right? Can you see it, Catherine?
Not yet. You're not back yet.
Look over here.
Oh.
For every time you be talking, I'd be looking at you like this, but on the screen I was looking the opposite way. Is that right?
Yeah, it's so hard to say which am I looking at. The one on the left, it's right, and the
Oh.
one on the right, it's wrong. You're looking at your dad on the right, and Kyle on the left.
On the right.
No, that's right.
Okay.
Right's right.
Right's right.
So,
little things.
So that people
It's
think
the
we're
little
like some
things.
kind of a spat. Every time I talk, you turn away
Right.
from me. I don't even want to.
Whatever, Kyle.
I don't even want to look at you when you talk to me. Say what you need to say. Go ahead. Are you done? Can I talk now?
I just watched a documentary last night about George Martin's studio down in the Caribbean in the 70s
Oh,
and
wow.
80s. I guess 80s. So after the Beatles broke up and everything, he went down and built this studio underneath the volcano, and
Underneath the volcano.
eventually the volcano erupted and everything, but they had already evacuated because of Hurricane Hugo had already decimated the studio, so they weren't there anymore when the volcano finally erupted. Fascinating documentary, but apparently one of the charms was because he hired all locals to be his crew and stuff. So the driver there apparently was an interesting character that whenever he would always say, let me speak," or something like that was how the driver.
Right.
And I think Earth, Wind, and Fire has a track on one of their albums called "Let Me Speak" that was inspired by the driver for George Martin's studio down there. Let me speak.
Oh my God.
But it was a fascinating documentary. The Police, Synchronous, Every Breath You Take, that album was recorded there. Dire Straits, Money for Nothing and Your Chicks for Free.
Right.
And that was one thing I thought was fascinating was the Police recorded Synchronicity there that had Every Breath. It was the biggest album they ever made, Every Breath You Take and stuff. And then when they got done, Sting decided to hang out and just take a vacation in the Caribbean there. Then the next record coming in was Dire Straits, Brothers in Arms, and they had this song they were going to record called Money for Nothing and Your Chicks for Free, but Sting was still there. So now the famous track is Sting going, I want my
that's him?
MTV.
I never knew that was
Sting.
him.
Yeah. Which is the other thing is fascinating. I was thinking was that the Police, while making Synchronicity down there, sort of broke up. That was their last album they ever made. And then Sting appeared on the Dire Straits album, just Sting. And his next thing was going to be a solo career. So it was all sort of prophetic and interesting.
Wow. Yeah, those guys sort of, besides Sting, they didn't really do too much after that, did they? Musically.
I guess not. Well, maybe stuff we don't know about. Not as solos.
Yeah.
Copeland.
Yes, what was it, Stuart Copeland?
He definitely
Andy Summers.
worked.
Well, I'm sure. I mean, they were good musicians. I'm sure they, made a fortune doing that type of stuff.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was a fascinating documentary. Apparently, people that would studio musicians in different places, whenever they got tracks from the studio to work in, they could tell, like in a few seconds of hearing the track, that it was recorded at George Martin's studio in the Caribbean. They could just hear it in the air. There's something about the air of the sound of the music there. Just hear that island vibe.
So
Jimmy Buffett, Volcano, that album. I don't know where I'm gonna go when the volcano blows. He recorded that record there under the volcano.
I heard him today. I don't know what it was on, but he brought back a lot of good memories. And he had a nice sound.
He's such an underdog. He was huge. I don't think some people don't realize how famous he is, and other people don't realize how good of a writer he is.
He had some great songs. He's a great songwriter.
Mm-hmm.
So do you remember when MTV came out? Like, how old were you then? Like,
I never watched it. I was.
That was aimed at me.
Yeah, like as
it
a
was
kid,
before.
as kids, it was
It
the
was
biggest,
more before my time.
Yeah,
I never.
any party you went to, the music, there was nobody playing records or anything anymore. It was just MTV.
I was the perfect age. I was like 13 when it
I never
happened.
got into videos for music. It was like two different things.
Yeah.
I don't. So no, I wasn't one of those. I was before that. He was
13 the day it launched. What was the first song?
So what year were you born?
70.
God, so I was 18?
Mm-hmm.
Wow, I don't remember being that old.
A little old for MTV. Although you
Look at you.
well,
Oh man, this is
yeah,
MTV.
you're like draftable and stuff. Like you were ready to kill people. I was still innocent and could believe in anything was
you were
possible.
still petting mice in a trash can.
I was still the Beastmaster. Damn it.
Yeah, I remember that just took over, man. It was no stop, and the bands that were on there just became like instant stars. You know, it was
Huge.
just
And it was good stuff. It was good stuff. It really spurred the music that was being made. What was the first video ever played on MTV?
it's that video killed the music star. I can't think
Video
of it.
killed the radio
Yeah,
star.
what's the name of that band?
What a mission statement.
Music
I mean, they
Hell.
came out of the gates swinging. We are about to take this down.
Yeah.
I don't remember who that was, but I can hear the song in my head. Video killed the radio
Now, what is
star.
MTV now? Do they?
Reality TV, like New Jersey. What was that?
Oh yeah,
Oh man, what am I
Jersey
thinking of?
Shore.
Jersey Shore. It's weird. It was weird how it morphed and just disappeared and wasn't playing music videos. It was still MTV, but it was not music videos. It was not music television at all. But then they defined the next era of our culture, because the music videos definitely defined that whole era, and then reality television. So they were still sort of cutting edge, but weird.
You watch any reality shows?
No. Not that I'm.
What are those brothers, the Swamp Brothers, or whatever were those guys?
Yeah, you never watched any.
Yeah, I never watched them regularly. I've
God, what were
seen
those
them.
guys called? Those
Right.
guys are like all millionaires now, aren't they? I can't think of what their names, what their show.
Duck Dynasty?
Duck
Duck
Dynasty.
Dynasty.
Yeah. Swamp Brothers.
Well, there's another one. Feel like there's a later incarnation that was a swamp.
But that wasn't MTV, was it?
No,
Well, Duck Dynasty wasn't what y'all were talking about.
it's
Yeah,
a reality show.
yeah.
No,
it's
it's a
based-
regular show.
Yeah, but it's not acting or scripted. Reality just means you're sort of following actual people around.
No, but when I watched Duck Dynasty, it was a plot show with actors and actresses.
No.
Yes, it was.
No.
What I watched was
Are you thinking of Dynasty?
Duck Dynasty.
Duck Dynasty.
No, it was like these guys with more like ZZ Top.
I know, but
Hunting.
well, maybe I'm thinking of something else. But I watched a show that I thought was called Duck Dynasty, and it was a regular show. It was about rednecks.
Right.
Yeah, but it's like he said, it wasn't like nobody wrote for them what to say. or
Mine was
anything.
written. I mean, they had plots and everything, commercials and all of it. I don't know.
Well, I mean, and it's a lot of it is you wonder how contrived it is, but it was definitely a reality TV show. But with all reality TV shows, you wonder how much
Oh yeah.
they set it up
Right.
to be interesting. But
I was reading something about that show Pawn Stars or whatever.
mm-hmm.
Like they show them
love
come
that.
in, they have this. They said before they even get there, it's all scripted. They have to agree what they're going to a price and all this stuff.
Which is sad.
Yeah.
I love that show.
Yeah. But those guys have all fallen on hard times, haven't they?
Not hard times.
Isn't that one of them?
Oh, Chumley
Yeah,
got
didn't he
arrested
have
or
like
something.
he went to he off this rocker or something.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Good old Chumley.
But apparently it was an actual pawn shop in
Yeah.
Vegas that you could go to.
Yeah. Oh yeah, the whole concept was all real, but of course they don't want somebody coming in there, ruin it while he stutters through something or
Right, right.
Oh my God, just say this so we can get us.
There's the Duck Dynasty. All right, here we'll just click on one.
$5 your way I rule this day. Nuggets, fries, drink bars just been raised. And Whopper Jr. is something new. A barbecue bacon Jr. just for you. BK, have it your way.
Quiet. I'm about to make my shot here.
Throw it!
Hey, I'm trying to concentrate here. Quiet.
This is the one you watch?
Oh.
Terrible. That's a point. brushes, okay, and a pair of sunglasses.
That's McSiver.
You need a grilled cheese
What's their
sandwich?
business?
Hey,
They,
look,
like,
all I need is a
stuff
lamp.
animals or something?
I don't think I ever saw it. I mean, they were so
Brushes,
popular,
okay,
I
and
knew
a
what
pair
it
of sunglasses.
was.
That's particularly unpleasant.
Check the battery. I'm gonna solve this.
Did you ever
problem
watch
right quick.
Cops?
You owe me for a new
What?
smoke
You ever watch that show Cops?
Now, that was an original
No.
reality show.
You never saw Cops?
I've seen it, but I don't watch it.
Oh,
So is that ringing a bell?
Well, those characters I recognize, but the show itself, I didn't see it. I'm still arguing that it was a show, not a reality show. That looks like a reality show, but I'm talking about they had families, and they would sit around, and there were things happening, and then they'd go to commercial. I mean, they had a plot to the show.
Right.
And they'd be on for a half an hour, and then it'd be going, oh, I call that a program, not reality, where they just,
But you think it was scripted?
yeah, I definitely think it was scripted. Maybe at some point it wasn't, and then it was. I don't know. And I never watched it that often, but it was on when I would be flipping channels, and
right.
sometimes I would watch it.
God, it was on for so many seasons.
So many T-shirts.
Maybe it's
and so
somewhere
many
they
fans.
morphed into.
All right, here's season 1, episode 5.
I want to plan a trip to Canton.
I love it.
I need some new furniture.
Willie embarrassed me last time when he bought that horsehair coat.
He was like fat guy in a little coat.
No, it was like a stinky horse on a fat man. That's what it was like.
Here he is.
Oh, speak of the devil, there he is.
Okay, I need help fill out the land. I forgot my boots. Does he have an extra pair?
I mean, you can see. I mean, it blurs the lines, but they're not. Those aren't scripted. They're acting like that's just the normal day in their life. But then they add music to it and stuff to make it seem like.
Okay. I'll investigate on my own.
I was mostly doing that selfishly because I was trying. I still can't remember what their job was. Like, they have a family business. I was trying to jog my
They
own
made
memory
decoys.
loose. They made decoys.
Oh, that's what they did? Okay.
But they made millions of dollars making decoys or something. Like, they were rich before the show
Well,
approached
that was
them.
only their assignment in the show.
Right.
They don't really make deals.
Right.
They actually live in Bel Air.
All those lines have gotten, so blurred between reality and entertainment.
Well, what are we doing?
What are we doing?
Because
Right.
we're blurred.
Yeah.
Well, you are, and you are, and you are. I mean, maybe that's me. Maybe I can't see. Maybe I am the blur, and you are just victims
In
of
real
being
life.
blurred
In
by me.
reality.
She might be clear as a bell, and I've always thought you were blurred.
I've
Interesting.
thought about that before too. Like during the Civil War or something, and like, what if you were just a normal person but you had bad eyes? Or not, I don't know why I thought the Civil War, but back in the day, it's like, all right, fire at these guys. And like, without my glasses, I wouldn't even know who I was firing at. I'd be like, oh, Captain, what guys? There's 500 guys over there. I'm gonna have to walk up closer. No, you idiot, stay back here. Like, no, I gotta get close enough to see what you're talking about. Like, take a shot. How did people like even? If you had bad eyes, how did you even know you had bad eyes?
Well, they wouldn't let you go kill people if you had bad eyes.
But how did anybody even know you had bad eyes? Like back in like the,
You,
like
you,
in
might,
the
you might
1500s
not
or
know.
something.
You might not know.
No, you could go through your whole life and
Yeah.
not know that you had bad eyes.
So you thought you were like ignorant, like you do not see that?
Well,
No,
you
I
could
don't.
go-
That's how it would happen, right?
Yeah.
Like your dad would be like, check out that cardinal up there in
Right.
the tree. And you'd be like, what cardinal up there in the tree? It's the
What? What tree?
There are people like that with stupidity.
Well, that's what I'm thinking.
You can be stupid your whole life. and
Right.
Nobody even tells you, and you just didn't know. You thought you may win a Nobel Prize, and damn, I didn't get it this year.
So do you have any idea when glasses were invented? Is that when were glasses invented? The 1700s? Older than that?
Well, before me.
Like Ben Franklin had glasses, didn't he? So that was,
Yeah, oh yeah, he made bispectacles, bifocals.
Right.
Glasses were invented in the 13th century.
Oh my gosh.
So 1200s.
1200s.
Yeah, so
The first wearable glasses known to history appeared in Italy during the 13th century. Primitive glass blown lenses were set into wooden or leather frames.
But how do they know? Like we can sort of judge you on 20/20 vision. How do they know what the average, what the normal? Or you just said I can't
It
see.
probably wasn't very precise.
Yeah.
It's 2 little magnifying glasses or whatever.
and I bet there were some races or some groups of people that had better eyes than
Right.
others. I was thinking about being a bat because I'm losing my eyesight.
So you've been.
You know, bats from the day one, they just can't see worth a damn, and
Well,
they're very happy
Nibius.
with what they've got. At least all the bats I've talked to. But you know, bats have no respect for shrews. If you talk to them, they won't even. And they're both mammals.
Right.
Yes.
Well, I'm scared of that. I don't like bats. So.
I'm going to say something that only one other person knows about me. I found a
thing going on here.
I found a dead bat in my aquarium the other day.
You what?
Yeah, it's out there. The whole world knows. Yeah, he's been in there a long time.
Oh my God.
See, I have this big tank, and I want to get rid of it, but there's a fish in there that won't die. I literally went for a year and a half and never fed it. It got dark in there. There was nothing there, and then all of a sudden, I realized one day I started to clean it out, and there's a fish in there. So I couldn't clean it out. And that was a year and a
How
half
was it
ago.
living? How was it living?
You gotta ask it. I think it's a demon. But he lives there, and my housekeeper feeds him, and they've become very close.
Oh wow.
She'll check on to make sure he's alive before she does me. I could be up there dead, and she'd be looking for her fish. But as soon as she finds her fish, she'll go to work. But
And you found a bat in there?
and then one day there was a weird thing in there. It was a bat. It was a dead bat.
That was recent?
Within the last few months. Yeah.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
I had some technical difficulties I had to fix. I'm back now. But I missed my comedic timing on you practicing echolocation around the house. Just imagine you walking around the house trying it out. I'm losing my vision. So, whatever noise you have to make to echolocate where the fridge is.
Yeah, I don't make a very high-pitched noise either. I might have to get to another animal. But I respect the bat.
Oh God, I'm so
Way of
petrified of
handling
them.
You're petrified of them?
I remember when I lived in Richmond, I came home one day and all the dogs were looking at the top of the bookshelf. And I was like, what are the dogs? What's so interesting at the top of the bookshelf? And I went to look and a bat flew off there. And I was just like, nah! I screamed and ran outside. And my wife didn't get home for like 2 hours after I did. She's like, what are you sitting? It was like winter time. I didn't have a coat or anything. I just ran out of the house. She goes, what are you sitting on the porch for? I was like, there's a bat in there. I had the door open too. Like, she's like, what do you mean there's a bat in there? I was like, the bat was in the house. I'm not going back in there. She's like, come on, we'll get it out. We couldn't find it. Like months later, we had like a vase with like a you know how vases are like the big at the bottom.
So you were living for months with a bat in
Well,
the
we
house?
didn't know where it was. I didn't know if it had flown out or what. But like months later, she found it. It had gotten in that vase, I guess, to hide, and got in there and couldn't get out.
Oh, man.
So she picked up a vase and she's like, oh, something in there. She's like, oh, it's that bat. I was like, oh,
it's horrible.
God. I was like, oh my.
Well, evidently the bat that I'm referring to got into the aquarium and started bouncing around and probably knocked itself out and then fell and drowned. But he was a dead bat. I felt bad. But
J-Dod says, my sister-in-law is blind and she snaps her fingers to echolocate.
there you go.
Oh, wow.
I could see how that would work.
Yeah, I can see that.
If you're coming up on a wall, or it's just a different sound.
Oh, that's
so.
cool.
Yeah, you get very sensitive. Unfortunately, I can't hear either.
You're so out of luck.
Yeah. Well, we're running out anyway. It's
During the lockdown, Kethra at one point had to quarantine because she had exposure to COVID. And so she was upstairs and I was downstairs and we were isolated, and a bat got in upstairs. And I've never felt so helpless as a husband because we couldn't break the quarantine. But I was streaming at the time too, but you were sending videos. I remember being live on the air and she's like sending me videos of this bat like flying around, and up there the ceilings, it's like the shape of the roof. So it's like a converted attic. So there's no like even corners for it to fly around. They're all sort of directed.
Are you scared or bothered by bats, or they don't?
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Did you end up having to catch it and throw it out, or we're talking to Kethra off camera here,
All
but
of these sheets, because it kind of hung on this low level of by the door jamb, which is pretty low. But I hung up all these sheets and then directing it to an open window.
she funneled it
Gosh,
with
the
sheets.
strategist over there.
very good.
I know.
Either that or it's still up there in a vase somewhere. I'm not exactly sure.
Check the aquarium.
Check the aquarium.
Oh,
Well, remember the bat story? I have a famous bat story. I mean, for years, I don't know when that was when I was teaching, but for several years, there would always be the first day of school when a new kids would come in.
Right.
There'd always be one kid to say, "Tell us the bat story." That'd be the first thing they'd say when they meet me. So,
They probably had an older sibling.
oh yeah, it gets around.
Yeah.
Oh, you got Mr. Moore? Have him tell the bat story. It's so funny. But I didn't do that I would tell them maybe later,
Right.
Oh,
And they have to
wow.
earn it.
and they had to earn it, and I had to be in the right mood.
Right.
But it's a good story.
Wow.
You feel like telling the bat story?
I can tell it sometime. I don't know about right now.
Gotta make them wait. Come back next week. Maybe you'll hear the bat story.
I could almost do it right now, but it would take a little while. We'll do the bat. You want to do it now?
You need costumes or anything?
No, but that would work. Do you have a bat? Oh, you would make a great.
You would make a great bat.
Yeah. Nah, I don't think it.
Yeah, we should say. Somebody has to write down. We need to hear the bat story later. We gotta remember
Yeah,
that.
we'll get requests
Yeah.
from people. We get enough requests, I'll do it.
500 likes. you
Yeah,
get to hear the bat
exactly.
story.
Once we have 30 viewers,
Yeah,
and we'll tell the bat story.
yeah.
Uh,
Campaign.
Like, from what year is it from? Is it going back?
It's a story that about me meeting my wife.
Wow.
And it's got romance,
Romance,
humor,
bats,
fear.
dark comedy, just like the book you were just
It's not
reading?
dark. It's not dark at all. It's very light, but
It's dark for you though,
I
with
know,
your bat
gosh.
phobia. Yep.
There's the I can't think of what the museum. It's a museum in Baltimore, like what's it called? Outsider art or something. Like art made by people that aren't really artists. You know, a lot of people that were in mental hospitals
yeah.
and stuff. They passed away. They open up their suitcase and they have all this art. But one of them is a headboard for a bed. It's just carved bats. I was like, oh my gosh, somebody slept in that thing with the bats, like looking down on them all night. Ooh. Oh, it gave me the creeps.
yeah. So one of the things I was talking about, if you want to bring it up, is the idea of me switching over to another medium. Would you like to help me with that a little bit?
The dad is, you as you well know, is puts a lot of poems on Facebook, and a lot of his Facebook posts they've taken the place of his old journal entries that he used to always do it in journals and stuff, and then it's sort of morphed into different things, and now it's mostly happening on Facebook, but it's a little bit weird because all this precious stuff is on Facebook, and it's all in these posts, and a lot of it's good poems and good little pieces of literature. And so he's wondering whether or not he should. Are you thinking about leaving Facebook or just not?
Here, yeah. Just to add to that, what I'm running into, and we've talked a little bit about this, is that if I write a work of fiction, I write a poem, and I'll put myself in a woman's thinking about this issue, or an older man or a younger man, or anything like that, or a dialogue. And it's a poem, it's a work of me, a creative work, and I put it on Facebook. Well, as soon as if I put it on Facebook like that, there's a tendency for anybody that reads it to think I'm telling the truth, that I'm telling a story. And for instance, say, if I talk about loving a woman, they think, what woman is he talking about? Right. Well, I'm not talking about any woman that I know. I'm talking about fiction. I'm making her up, But so I think it's confusing, and it keeps me from putting a lot of stuff. Them writing, I don't want to. In other words, I have to kind of edit myself.
There's some poems you don't want to be your Facebook status.
Exactly. If you want, and there's subjects. There's whole subjects that I don't want to go to because I'm trying to make you feel good. I'm trying to share. In Facebook, I think you're trying to share yourself or open yourself up to being known. So it's confusing for someone to be reading a thing where I'm depressed. In other words, if I write something depressing about life and death, and death, they think I'm depressed. But maybe I'm not. Maybe I was just trying to be creative, and that was my subject area. So I feel like there's two things going on, and I'm trying to do both in one format. So to answer your question, I would stay on Facebook because the reason I love Facebook is I get to keep up with my friends. But I don't need for them to be reading my stuff. If they want to read my stuff, my creative stuff, then they ought to be able to go somewhere else and do that. So I see that that would be help me and help them.
And another platform could be a lot easier to print out or archive or whatever at some point in the future.
It would be, it'd be definitely. And I don't really want all my stuff to be on Facebook, but and I do try to. Usually I'll write it in my journal and then copy it, but a lot of times it just comes directly to Facebook, and then later on, if it's worth it, I'll redo it in the journal.
Right. I was horrified when I first learned you were writing some of those poems in Facebook on your phone, because I always thought you were writing them in your journal and then transcribing them. But then lately, I feel like you've done more, really some golden stuff just in Facebook.
Oh yeah,
which is terrifying to me on a certain level, especially.
Why?
Well, I've lost a Facebook page. I mean, they get hacked.
Right.
It's just vulnerable, and it just gets sort of like shoved down a wall on Facebook.
Oh,
or
yeah.
whatever. It's not there as like clickable pages of a.
Yeah, exactly.
Are there creative spaces to put stuff on?
Well, if you wanted to be hip, I did a little bit of research. You could just get a standard blog website. Those have existed for a while now, and there's a lot of options for that. But there's a new thing now called Substack.
What is it?
It's basically just a blog, but it's really popular now. A lot of journalists and stuff that are, getting not published, or with all the. There's all these things these days about where you go for the truth or whatever. So a lot of them have what they call Substacks now. Probably like. What is Substack?
So hi everyone, I want to talk to you today about a platform called Substack, and I have talked to you about this before because I mentioned that I have my own Substack journal. So ALASTAIR, banks.substack.com is my journal, and I keep thoughts, musings about personal brand, about entrepreneurship, all of the kind of things that I think about in business. I tend to keep there. But I wanted to dive into the blog has already exists, and I like it for Substack, and you simply do that by going there.
Yeah, that's one of the things about it is that I think some blog sites do this too, but anybody that wants to can sign up with their email to your Substack. And so every time you put a post, they get an email saying there's a new entry from you. So it's sort of like it doesn't just sit there, it can interact with people that want to give their email to get notified that you have a new post.
Do you have to do that, or just an option?
Probably just an option.
It's also like an email marketing tool, though, because
I would think that people that would check it out would be people that wanted to keep up with my writings, and they could be, in other words, I'd start with my Facebook family, and anybody that wanted to keep up with me that liked my stuff.
There's probably some way to make it clear this is not you writing about yourself. This is...
Well, the whole idea would be this is where I put my fiction.
Right.
Yeah. Or, yeah, that would be the whole reason for doing it.
Here's a quickie.
Sophie, if you can make tacos, you can make a website with...
Oh, it's text. Substack is a subscription email newsletter platform that offers writers the option to charge readers for access to their content. You might want to think about it.
There you go.
I'm not here to make money. I'd pay. There's some people I would pay to watch to read it.
It's a good idea to ask somebody that knows, like Nathan, but the thing is, there's probably so many options out there. You really have to...
check it out.
Substack is just like the thing that's cool about it is that it's hip now. So you can, if you're telling people, well, you should check out my Substack, the kids will be like, whoa, this dude's got a Substack. And a podcast.
That's right. Gosh, there could be T-shirts that you own them pretty soon.
I don't know, but I don't do email either, so I think email's old-fashioned.
It'll be a picture of you, Substack and podcast, and on the back will say, "Ask me about the bat story."
I'm sure that they all also have, I'm sure Substack does too, but after you make a post in there, you could probably share it to Facebook pretty easily, just with a click of a button.
Yeah, some of them I would share, and some of them I wouldn't worry about. Yeah. Well, but we don't have anywhere to go with that, huh?
Not unless we wanted to roll up our sleeves and create your Substack account.
No. Well, anybody's out there that has any other ideas along this, they can pass them on, and we'll see.
Steve Talley created a blog. He's got that website where he did his travel logs.
Yeah, I haven't. Is he still right on that?
I'm not sure. It's been a while.
I used to read it when he was traveling, but I'll ask him about that.
That's the thing. I have friends that do blogs that are amazing. Like, I'll just come home, click on Facebook, but I rarely ever think to look at a certain blog. It's like...
That's the drawback.
Yeah.
If we want to talk about pros and cons,
yeah,
you're probably always bound to get more action on Facebook.
But I understand what you mean. Like, you think that everything you write... I have the same thing. People are like, oh, why'd you... I'm like, I was just some BS I was writing you that.
Right,
So-
right. Yeah, I don't. A lot of times I don't put it on there because I don't want people to think that's the way I really feel.
Right.
It's just what I was thinking about.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody might feel.
It would be fun to have a website in and of itself for lots of good reasons. But then one thing I would want to do is probably go back and transfer all your old Facebook posts over to it. Could be populated pretty quickly.
Yeah, I had I had somebody hired to help me with my technology for a while, and she was, I think she tried to get all of the stuff that was in my memories, my Facebook memories, and tried to put them on a cloud or something,
Mm-hmm.
I think that might be out there, that she saved that. But I don't know how to get to it or anything.
It's just out there.
Yeah, everything's just out there.
No, I don't even, like if you want to, like if you think, I wonder if Nathan has a blog, how do you even find out? What do you go to?
Google, I guess.
So you just, Nathan Ward blog, and I mean.
I don't have one, but.
Is that how you find them?
Mm-hmm. Yep. And there probably are a lot of Nathan Moores out there with blogs at this point. I have 2 Nathan Moores as Facebook friends that are regional.
Oh, I don't know if you did this on purpose because you saw this, because the same day that your Evil Knievel thing was posted, I saw that they're reissuing that toy.
Oh, I got it already.
Oh, you already got it?
When I was doing the lockdown show on YouTube, I was talking one night about how the Evil Knievel toy was my favorite toy growing up, and next thing you know, somebody that was watching sent me this toy in the mail.
So is that the reissued one?
It's the reissue, yep.
Oh my God, remember how cool that was? Oh, with the helmet.
Can you bring me the base?
The helmet came off and the wind-up thing.
The wind-up thing is so satisfying. It still is.
When I worked at the insurance company in Richmond, we insured Evil Knievel's van.
Oh, what?
Like the tour van he had.
Just the tour van.
I need to go to the restroom.
I will.
I'll play with Evil Knievel for a little while.
I've got the Evil Knievel album at home.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
He's singing?
It's like they're just talking about his life and stuff. He was a badass though. I mean, he was. I mean, as I think every kid.
If you try the bidet, don't turn it up very gently, just a little bit. But you should try it because it's awesome.
I mean, I think all kids just thought Evil Knievel was the coolest person ever.
Well, he was, wasn't he?
Now, what's his son? What was his son's name?
Good question.
Was it Kyle Knievel? Might have been Kyle. I can't remember. Like the one. What was that? Wild World of Sports that had him jumping all those things in Vegas and stuff.
Buses or something?
Yeah. It was this. What was it? Snake River Canyon or whatever. What was it? He tried to jump with that rocket.
Woohoo! Oh, he's still going!
Oh my gosh.
That's satisfying.
I wonder who the genius was that invented that thing with the wind up and everything.
I know. It's the whole thing.
I hope that guy has a blog.
That thing is almost as good as the original. Should we jump something? Let's jump Percy. Oh my God, let's jump Percy.
People are sitting how this show's taking a downward spiral now. Bunch of older dudes trying to jump something with an Evil Knievel wind-up toy.
I think we could jump Percy.
Please tell us the bad stories so we don't have to watch this.
You're right, your camera's flickering again.
What's Evil Knievel? I don't even know what his real name is. What is it? I remember when we got his when we got the application for his insurance. They had his real name
When
on
would
there.
that have been?
I started working there in 2000. Let's see. I started working there in 2004, so it was like maybe like 2005, 2006. It was like his van with all his stuff in it that he would drive. My guess was like a. There wasn't a van, it was like a mobile
Oh wait,
home.
I just realized. I just muted you because Dad doesn't know how to mute his lapel mic.
Sounds like Evil was taking a crash. He's bleeding profusely. Listen to the liquids flow from his body.
I should have taught him that trick. Oh, just so you know, that top button right by the lights, right on the face. If you tap it once, you have to tap it once, and the light comes on. Then you tap it again. Try it, just so you know. It's that top button. Yep. So the first one, the light comes on. Now hit it again. Just tap it. Yep. See, you're muted. That red light. Now you're back.
Evil Knievel. Do you know what his real name was? Was his last name Knievel really?
Let's look it up.
I don't think Evil was his real first name, was it?
He probably had it legally changed.
Wouldn't that be cool if you were a little kid named Evil?
What was Evil Knievel's real name?
Probably Daryl.
What was Evil Knievel's real name? Craig Knievel. Robert Craig Knievel. Born October 17th, 1938.
1938, God, so he'd be, what, 84 now?
Is he still alive? No, died 2007.
He was like on his kidney. That's when we were trying to insure him. He was trying to get a kidney or something. Evil Knievel. I wonder if you think he made any money off the toy?
Oh, I'm sure. Wouldn't you think?
Yeah, I guess that was his likeness and stuff. What was his? Ask what his son's name was. Please.
What's the name of Evil Knievel's son? Robbie.
Robbie Knievel, yeah.
Is that who you did insurance for?
No, it was Evil.
It was Evil?
Yeah.
What year would that have been?
That's what I was trying to think. I think it was like 2005, 2006 when we got the application.
Right before he died.
Yeah.
Wow.
But Robbie's he's a stunt, what do they call those people? Acrobats? What are they? I don't know what they're called. Not a stunt man, performer? I don't know what is it.
What was called?
Like what do you call him? A superhero? What is it?
Stunt man.
It's more than a stunt man, though.
Is
That's
it?
what I was, like, he,
Daredevil.
Yeah, Daredevil. There you go. Daredevil. Man. Do we still have daredevils? Are there daredevils still around in the world?
David
yeah.
Blaine tried to.
Yeah, I just came down those steps.
Now what was David? Now David Blaine's a magician, but is he a daredevil?
He was
too?
a magician that blurred the lines by
Yeah.
starting to do like feats, like
Freeze
staying
himself,
underwater, freeze
yeah.
himself. He sort of blurred the line between.
No, were those real? Or that was
I really hate that phase of David Blaine because of all those questions. It's like I don't want to see a magician do the coffin trick or the underwater or freeze himself.
But you don't hate
because
you don't hate the magician stuff. How in the world does he do that stuff?
I love the magician stuff.
Oh my God, it makes me so mad because it can't be real.
Oh, it can't. Oh, it can't.
Well, one time when I was living in
Somebody would think that you couldn't have asked that question and be your age.
when I was living in
Like
Jersey,
wrestling.
when I was living in Jersey, we were at some just neighborhood bar, and this dude came up. I want to do some tricks. Like, oh my God, get out of here! You know, just
I'm that
"No,
guy,
I'm not
just
going to
so you know."
charge you anything. I just want to show you some tricks. And he's like right there in front of us. Blew my mind. I could not figure out how he was doing this stuff. I was like,
Well, he can do it. He can blow
"Oh,
your mind.
you're a magician?
That's all my magic corner back there. All
Oh my
kinds of-
gosh, you should
know,
do something on here."
Oh, yeah.
After Dad tells a bad
So
story.
you probably know the tricks.
I probably know the tricks.
No, is it something you have to practice all the time?
Yep. You definitely get rusty.
Oh my God, I didn't know you were a magician.
I used to. I mean,
God,
I was a magician first
I've been
before I
sitting
was
here
a
for
musician.
3 hours with you. I didn't know you're not bragging about that.
It's not worth bragging. I don't. Think.
Oh, so what do you
But
have
it's-
over
but
there?
it's fascinating stuff.
Ropes.
All kinds of stuff. All that whole corner.
Can you do him one? You got one you
So
can
what was
do?
your specialty? Cards or? I mean, oh my
I've seen
God.
him do
I love
some
cards.
amazing card stuff.
Oh, you got to do one.
I'm pretty rusty.
Well, give him a week. Next week.
Why didn't you tell me? Here I am running my mouth about how I'm scared.
No, I love that.
You're scared of Nathan now?
That's
legitimate.
I love the antagonism of.
But is the devil involved at all?
A little bit. A little bit. Yeah.
Wait, how do you pull up sources that are unknown to me?
Books. Secret books.
So, like, did you start when you were a kid?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was like 9 years old. I got.
It
given
probably
a
started
book.
after you were bitten by that mouse, didn't it? All of a sudden you're like, oh, I can all of a sudden make cards.
I can't talk to animals, but now I can make things levitate.
Now I can pull a quarter out of my dad's ear.
Right.
Ah!
What was the one where you he threw a playing card that stuck to the ceiling at Stewart Hall.
Yeah.
That was the most amazing thing I've ever seen.
Yeah.
He threw a card. Stewart Hall in the auditorium was, it's 40 feet.
Right.
And he threw it up and just stuck up on the ceiling. It was the weirdest
We've
thing
been sitting
I've
here
ever
all this time. Oh my God. Talk about a waste of time. You should just have us as your guinea pigs. You should do magic every
Speak for
week.
yourself.
Speak for yourself.
So, like, well, you don't have to explain it. Like, what's one of your favorite, or like, what was one of your favorites? Like a card trick, or I see you tie people up. And
That's been fun for years.
like, what was your not even your specialty? Like, what is your favorite? Like illusions, or just mess with people's minds, or?
Well, I mean, I never really got to do the big stage illusions because those are all giant props that you couldn't have. But there was a while when I tried to make magic a inseparable part of my solo music shows. I wanted to be the world's first sleight of hand musician, and so I was trying to do magic as part of. That's what I did at Stewart Hall. It was like the height of that when I was trying to merge. But it got too confusing, and it wasn't a good brand really, because I'm a serious songwriter, and magic is a little campy, and so like I was trying to use it to bring levity and stuff to my heavier songs, but it ended up just detracting.
But how do you even learn about it? From a book?
That's one thing that's so cool
the guy
about
at the bar just looked like a normal guy. He didn't have a bunch of props or anything.
Mm-hmm. I mean,
And his hands weren't like, hide and stuff, but it's like pick a card, you'd think of it, and he would just have it. You're like, it can't be real. He's got to, this can't, it can't be, he's not reading your mind or whatever, but.
Or is he?
Well, the newspaper one always amazes me.
That's a good one.
That's. Can you do that one next week?
I don't know.
What is it?
The torn and restored, tear a newspaper up and then restore it.
It's remarkable.
It doesn't scare you?
It definitely blows my mind.
Do you ever have to hang sheets to get him to go out the door so he doesn't? You're scared every day to go out the door. Man, if I knew magic, I'd be doing that all the time. If I was you and I came in here, I'd be like, "Hey, sit down. Let me get that mic for you." Oh, it's behind you now. Whoa.
It's. I mean, it's sort of a kind of thing that like you're either doing magic at the moment or not. Like when I would go through phases where I would get really, because it's like a roller coaster ride. I first got into magic when I was 9. And then I was super into it for a while, and then I got out of it, and then I would get back into it, and go to another level of it, get a new book, or meet. This was before the internet, so it was all about meeting another magician. That was one thing I loved about it, the whole secrecy of it all. Because most magicians, you work so hard to learn the secrets that you're not going to just share them with people.
Right.
And so most magicians, if you're a real magician, you're going to take that code seriously. So then you meet a magician, you're a young man, then you have to earn their trust for them to teach you the tricks and stuff, and the dynamics of that is all really cool. Whereas a musician,
It's like a private club.
But you
It's
always,
like a private
you always
club.
hear about distracting them and getting them to focus on something else. Like that dude at the bar, we were just looking right at him. He wasn't. He probably was, and we just didn't realize it. But
oh yeah,
he's probably like, "Oh, is your beer full?" You look, and he, I mean, I don't remember him saying that, but it's.
I mean, there's pocket magic. There's a whole genre. There's pocket magic, then
And
there's
what's pocket magic?
stage illusions, just like magicians that would just like the guy that walked up to your table. It was just a self-contained show.
Okay.
Everything he needed was on his body,
Right.
on his person. Then you got stage magic with larger props and stuff like that. And
So, when you were watching our David Blaine special on TV, would you understand how he did some of that stuff?
I figured out. I mean, I eventually learned pretty much all of the stuff that he did. But at first, no, I had no idea how he did half of it. Some of it I maybe knew, but he was revolutionary. When he first came on the scene, he rekindled our fascination with the craft. It had been a while since the culture had a significant magician as part of our thing. Houdini.
Right,
We had Blackstone. Who was it in the 70s? The guy with the mustache.
Oh, yeah. Henning. Yeah.
Doug Henning. Yeah, there was always somebody, but then there was this lull when there was no magic anymore. No. David Copperfield had all this 70s specials and 80s and stuff, and it was always.
So when you first started, did you just get into it because you just liked it, or you saw somebody on TV or something, on Carson or something?
I got a book for Christmas when I was 9, and it turned out to be a really amazing magic book. I'm not sure who gave it to me or how they knew, or it was probably just they got lucky,
Right.
but they gave me a really good magic book. And I remember I learned a trick. It was I had mom and grandmom were in the kitchen. Mom took a $1 bill out. I was like, all right, read me the serial number. We wrote down the serial number. Then I took it, put it in an envelope, burned it, set off the smoke detector. Beep, beep. And then once all that chaos settled down, the thing was burned up. Then I grabbed a lemon, cut the lemon. Inside the lemon was a rolled up $1 bill. Opened the $1 bill, and it matched the serial number.
No way.
And both of them.
You were 9 years old?
I was like 9 or 10 years old. Both of them were completely blown away, and they were so mystified. To be like a 9 or 10-year-old kid and blow adults' minds, I was hooked immediately. I was just like, oh my gosh, what is this feeling? Because they were just like, how did you do that? It just became a lifelong love. So after that, I was learning more tricks, and then.
So what is it? Palming the $1 bill somehow?
You're the worst.
What is it? I mean, I'm trying to think of a logical way you could do it.
No, listen, shut up. You can't ask that.
Well, I'm trying to think of how it could be. I mean,
You can't do that.
Even if
you gotta leave it go.
Even if it is, it's amazing.
A lot of
You are
times,
so naive.
I gotta
You
say,
don't ask a magician how they did it.
amen. What is going on? On the other hand, that secrecy can be really frustrating, because there's a part of me that loves the craft of magic so much. The beauty of it to me is the trick, not the illusion.
Yeah, because everybody
that's-
knows it's not really magic. The beauty of it is that you somehow have made us think that it really happened.
Mm-hmm. And not being able to share that with friends has been very frustrating at times, for sure. Because it's like you can't share what's really cool about it. But then on the other hand, if you're not a magician, you might not think it's that cool.
Right.
A lot of times it's just like, oh, God, that's how you do it? That's stupid.
It's a come down.
It's a come down.
It's got to be depressed.
So are there like exercises and stuff you got to do for your hands and stuff?
If you're doing it. Yep.
Did you have your
I've
fingerprints
spent
erased?
hours and hours and hours trying to, doing a hand exercise. And
You'll never make a magician. Your fingers are too stubby.
I know. I can't
Yeah, you
imagine
can't
how
do
you
it.
would do it.
Yeah. You got kicked out of magician school first week.
No, they would just point you to the right hero. Oh, so and so had small, chubby hands.
Now, were you ever into like Houdini and all that stuff?
The whole history, very fascinated. Yeah, I've done deep dives into magic my whole life.
Wow, that's fascinating.
And then what was cool is I started traveling as a musician. And this was still back in the day when like every major city had a magic shop, sort of like the old video stores and stuff. And you go in, and the person that owned it was obviously a magician, and they would perform for you over the counter. You can still find them from.
There was famous in the Midwest that y'all went to.
Abbott's.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Been there. Yeah, Blackstone used to live in that little town, Colon, Michigan.
Y'all
I've never heard of Black. He was a magician.
Blackstone was like the 40s, 50s, maybe. Really famous magician in America. It always seemed like there was one at a time. There was like one really famous magician. There was never two at the same time. One would have to disappear or die or something, and then Houdini would pop up.
Do you know the Amazing Kreskin?
Houdini was named after Houdin, who was a famous French or Italian magician. He took his name and just added, but he was like 50 years before Houdini's time.
Do you know the Amazing Kreskin? Do you remember him from the Johnny Carson show? He'd always have the Amazing Kreskin.
Oh, that was Johnny Carson.
Yeah.
Doing ESP.
Oh,
where
yeah.
He pulled the thing
Yeah.
Oh, that was a joke.
Yeah. He's still the Amazing Kreskin's a real performer, but he still performs. There's a record store I used to go to in Jersey, and he's friends with a guy. He's like 92 years old, and he still comes and does like magic and stuff.
I think we're thinking of two different things, Dad.
The Amazing Kreskin's he's like an older dude now.
Yeah.
Oh, this guy.
He used to be on Carson all the time, though.
No, I was thinking of Johnny when he.
Oh yeah. When he.
Yeah, what was he? What did he call himself?
Oh yeah, that was
a joke.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I thought it was the Amazing Kreskin, but I don't remember enough.
Laura, you got to call in, Laura, and tell us about the Amazing Kreskin.
New Zealand and Australia. This is his new book entitled The Amazing World of Kreskin. Would you welcome The Amazing Kreskin? How are you, Amazing?
Oh, he's not doing a trick?
You really start something. I can't go on an airline. Everybody says, be amazing. How are you today?
Of course. What are we going to do tonight? What do you want to talk about?
It feels like, just looking at the top of the show,
That's still
laughing at the kind of
some picture. You can
the phenomena, which really is a throwback to about 300 years ago. In parts of Texas, outside of Houston and outside of Dallas, you now have, and had 3 years ago, what are called covens. And covens are, an offshoot of witchcraft, where groups of people amassed together and hold the black mass.
Well, thought he was just going to do a quick trick for us. Apparently, they used to deep dive on Carson. That clip is 14 minutes long.
Good Lord.
Yeah, back in the old school.
I don't remember him.
I don't really remember him either. It's interesting.
That's back when we got it on satellite dish, so there was no commercials. You could see he could talk as long as he wanted.
Right. I remember the amazing Ramsey, who proved all the psychics. Remember that? Do you remember that at all? Do you remember that at all?
No.
Like there's a one guy that Donnie you had on or something that could like move the pages of a book or something, but then Johnny Carson brought the amazing Randy out to dispel or to debunk the magician, and so the guy could move pages of a book just with his mind, and the page would flip over. And Amazing Randy came out and put those packaging popcorn styrofoam things all around the book and said, "Do it now," because if he was using his breath, they would all fly away too. And there's this great scene on like Carson where the guy Randy pours all the popcorn things around it or whatever, and the guy's just like, "I can't do it. For the lights in here, the reflecting off the popcorn weird or whatever."
Now, how about Penn and Teller? Were you fans of theirs?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I've seen them perform live. I mean, of course, it's on a big stage, and like you said, it's more props and stuff, but still, it's like... but to see somebody just do it up close to you, right across the table, it's like...
Yeah, the Penn and Teller created sort of the hallmark of pretending to show you how it's done, but then it was like they were revealing the trick, but then there was always a twist at the end where you'd be like, "Oh, they got me."
Right.
You handed me this.
I did. I found that this afternoon, and I was telling Kyle that I was thinking maybe you could read a poem. Just flip through and take one at random.
All right, say when.
It's like magic.
I was talking to you.
Oh, you were?
Yeah. Say when.
When?
Love, the chameleon warrior, cloudy skies, the time of days, different eyes, affect reflecting rays. There are many likes of love. Some reflect, most refract. Some absorb all light, making love the only one who sees best in the dark.
Wow, that's really something. That's almost like magic.
How did you do that?
How did you do that? How did you do that?
How did you capture that in those few words?
It's a good question. How do you do it?
Do what?
Write a poem.
I can't say. There's probably more than one way, but sometimes it just starts with a word. A lot of things I put on Facebook, it just started with a turn of phrase or seeing a word fit in a different way. That's full of it right there. It was starting with light and
love,
light and love, and seeing how they were alike and light. And but I like to play with a lot of my stuff is not really poetry. It's just a guy playing with words.
What's the difference?
I'm not very literate. I'm not very. I don't know anything about poetry. I've never thought I was a poet. I never think of myself as a poet.
But you've always written poetry, right?
Well, people call it that, and I have called it that because I don't. But it's basically just playing with words and thoughts. It's like I wrote the other day about the idea that I don't see how people write novels. My brain, I guess it's ADHD or whatever, but I write sentences. And I said the other day, I was saying, I'm even having trouble with sentences. I'm down to words. And then probably a year or two, I'll be down to letters. Give me an A. But yeah, I don't think of myself as of a real.
At the same time, like Mom just moved into her new house, and she gave me a couple of boxes of old boxes of photos and notes and newspaper clippings from growing up and stuff. And in there, I found a couple of poems you wrote to her back in the day.
I'd like to see them.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
but that just goes to show that even from a very young age, you liked poetry and wanted to write poetry.
But I didn't like poetry. Like I didn't have poets in the English book when I took English. I didn't read Wordsworth. I didn't.
Right.
I never thought of them as being, anything I wanted.
But the music you loved was always the poets. Mm-hmm. The music you loved was always the poets.
I liked the poetry and music. Again, I think it's a lot of it's something very simple. Mm-hmm. I don't have a very good vocabulary of poetry, and I never liked poetry where you twisted something to make it rhyme. I like the sound of it, and sometimes I'll catch a rhyme, but I've never really been into.
There's a good rhyme scheme in what I just read.
Yeah, but I don't know, not for very long.
Yeah.
I can't do it for very long.
Right.
And I don't think of it.
When you do rhyme ones, it sticks out as like, oh, he's rhyming. That's new.
Yeah. I mean, I like the sound, but I don't need it for it to rhyme to have a sound.
But like the one I just read, love the chameleon warrior, cloudy skies, the time of days, different eyes, effect reflecting rays. You're definitely rhythm and rhyming there.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely played. That was part of the game.
Playing with words, right?
Yeah, I was playing with words there, but what was it? A boon. I always thought Wordsworth, for instance. I liked what he was writing about, and I liked a lot of his words, but he would just use words to make it rhyme.
Right.
And I thought that was crude. And for me to think Wordsworth is crude is just obscene. That's ridiculous. But I didn't like that. So I'm trying to make it maybe rhyme, but not try to make it look like I'm trying to make it rhyme.
Right.
I'm always impressed that you must spend time when you write your stuff out. There's no misspellings or words. No spell corrections.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I wrote something a couple of months ago. Once I post it, I reread it. I'm like, oh, it changed this, it changed that. But it's too late. But when I wrote God at the end. I wrote God bless all the children, and it spell checked it to God blows all the children. And I was like, oh crap! And I was like, people probably thought I meant that, so I had to go back on Facebook. I wrote, I didn't mean blows all the children. I meant bless all the children. But I was like, oh my God, how could it change it to
Now,
that?
I might be about to blow your mind, but do you know that you can edit a Facebook post?
No. I was like, oh my God, because I had written this long thing. I didn't want to erase it. I was
I
like,
knew
oh
you
my
didn't
God,
because he
children.
actually printed a retraction on Facebook. He was frantically everybody, I didn't mean that in my last post. And I was like, he doesn't know he can edit his Facebook post.
I was like, this is pretty good. God blows all the children. Oh my God, what is this? Oh my God, I was mortified. I didn't know what to do. I was waiting for the police to come knocking on my door after that. But yours are always very well. There's no weird,
Well,
true.
I find it the other way around where I do it on the phone and the auto corrects my spelling. Right. So I just start out spelling it and then I see it up there and hit that.
Okay.
Right.
I like that.
I do too.
That's one reason I use the phone.
Wow.
DiGiorno's. That was my latest. I knew it was the answer to a crossword puzzle thing this morning, but I didn't know how to spell it. So I needed my, I needed to order something on the phone.
You just started typing DiGiorno's and it spelled it for you?
No, I couldn't do it because I was working with a newspaper and I was creating it. But I didn't think about it. I should have done that.
Mm-hmm.
Eventually, I figured it out because of the other letters. But
You still doing Wordles?
oh yeah, I'm terrific just about every day.
Wow. I had a rough,
What do you think about the ethos of what I did today? I don't know if I've ever done this, and I don't know if I can describe what I did. I had the first 3 letters done, and then there were 2 letters that I didn't have any idea what they were. So instead of guessing a real word, I put in there 2 different letters because I thought one of them was in there, but I knew it wasn't the word. You see, I don't know, I'm not describing it. I put an answer in that I knew wasn't right, but I was trying to see if either one of those letters.
I do that.
Is that all right?
There's a setting you can put it on, and if you put it on that setting, it won't let you do that.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's interesting. I didn't know that. I'd never done it before, and it worked. But
I definitely do stuff like that all the time.
Yeah. I mean, they didn't say it was against. What I don't like is when you guess a letter and it's in another place too, and they don't tell you.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's wrong. That's not fair. And they could change that if they wanted to, but they won't.
It would be, yeah. It would be hard to let you know. You're thinking like Wheel of Fortune rules. Like, are there any E's?
Yeah.
Right.
If you say E, then all the E's would show up.
Right.
I think that's the way.
But would it put it in the right place for you?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. It almost have to.
I mean, it should. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that would be part of it. You'd have to know that because you couldn't be guessing which order it's in.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I don't see why that, because that just seems, because that catches a lot of people because you think it's over and you think of the other letters and you don't go back to that one.
Right.
Of course, after a while you figure it out.
You just have to factor that into your thinking.
Yeah, you have to rethink that, I guess.
What you think, little baby?
But I just didn't like that rule.
What you think?
That's salsa.
This guy have a bow tie on?
Mm-hmm.
Dressy.
And here we're jabberjawing down here.
You can be on TV. You want to look sharp, right?
Well, you want to sing a song?
What do you want to hear?
I want to hear that one that where you say I'm hardly here anymore. I feel like that a lot.
Did you ever write any songs about magic?
Oh yeah. A lot of magic references, and I have to remember. It's been a while. long time. The thing that makes it even harder is there's a version of this song coming out on the record that Brian produced for me, and it's completely different than how I play it.
Wow.
Or how I wrote it originally. Brian came up with a whole new arrangement, and I
I'd
don't
like to hear that
even
one,
think
too.
I'm playing on it. I think it's all Brian, but Brian produced it. So whatever on the record Brian produced, the tracks just, if he wanted me to do something, he would tell me to do something, but it wasn't a given that I would be doing anything at all except for singing it, which is, it was
Wow.
fascinating.
Yeah, I'd like to hear that. Is that ready to go at some point?
He says it's 95% of the way there.
You know, it's been about 90 for about a year.
That's what I'm saying. 4 years. So we got to get him back in here to take it that last 5%. I'll see what comes out. Whatever they need it more than I do. Whatever they need, it's not always about you. Whatever they need, they can take it from me if they want to. Whatever they need, I'm hardly here. I'm hardly here. I'm hardly here. I'm hardly here. It's hard to speed. I'm not stuck in I am traffic. It's hard to speed up. Give me a minute. It's hard to speed, and it's killing the planet. It's hard to speed. I'm hardly here. I'm hardly here. I'm hardly here. I'm hardly here. Baby, till I get back home and things can be the way we want, and everyone in that weird world can just move along. Move along, there's nothing to see here. 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 Whatever they need it more than I do. Whatever they need, it's not always about you. Whatever they need, they can take it from me if they want to. Whatever they need, I'm hardly here. 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 Thank you.
Wow.
Now that was magic.
No, thank you.
That is magic.
Can't tell you how I did that either.
The magic you can explain. The other magic you can't explain.
That's true. It's true. All right, your turn. You're up here at the open mic.
Here's Gregory Hines.
Clear the table.
I can't even make my clicking noise in my mouth anymore.
I should get a couple of shoes for my fingers.
I used to make a good Gregory Hines clicking noise in my mouth.
Well, don't take a sip of water. Try it again.
It's Gregory Hines dancing in the rain.
That sounded like sipping water.
I'm just glad everybody knows who Gregory Hines is.
You're in the right crowd.
Remember when he was a movie star, like making those spy movies or whatever they were?
The Russia one.
Who was he with?
Was he with Billy?
Who was he? Yeah, who was he? Was that Billy Crystal? Who was he with in that movie? Wasn't it him and somebody else?
I can.
It wasn't Billy Crystal.
It might have been Billy Crystal.
I can't even.
Isn't he in White Nights with Baryshnikov?
White Nights.
Yeah. Yeah, they always had his dancing titans. You know, they utilized that.
Used to be a lot more people could tap dance than you would think.
Yeah.
Like a lot more actors. If you were in showbiz, especially for a couple of decades after vaudeville, but in the vaudeville days, you had to be able to do everything.
Right.
Like you dance, like everybody could dance, and surprising actors and stuff back in the day could bust out some tap dance moves because it was just sort of more standard issue. I love that we still knew dancers and stuff.
I just watched Singing in the Rain.
Like, what's a famous dancer now today? Like we had Gregory Hines.
Right.
Who do the kids have? I don't know if that exists anymore. Although performers are way more dancers these days than they used to be. Even like Britney Spears or something like that. It's all choreographed dance moves. All right. Gregory Hines. What's filmography? Tap. White Nights.
Yeah. That's what I.
Running Scared is the one you're thinking of, right? Billy Crystal. Yeah. You nailed it. Your memory's working. Billy Crystal, Gregory Hines, Running Scared. That was a big one.
Yeah. That was the classic days of cable back then.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yep.
Me and my brother always talk about how there's, thousands of movies made every year, just more movies than you can even count. And every night you turn on, there's like Lethal Weapon. Like, how many times do you have to show Lethal Weapon? If you have not seen this movie by now, you should be taken down a boat like 5 miles out and just thrown overboard. And like, if you haven't seen Lethal Weapon, just swim as far as you can and go away, But all these other movies that it's like, oh my God, it just drives me crazy. Me and my brother still text each other, hey, I don't know if you're awake, but Lethal Weapon's on. If you've never seen it. Is it 1 or 2?
It's so funny that Lethal Weapon became a holiday movie.
Oh, is it?
It's like...
Oh, yeah, and the Die Hard ones and all that
stuff.
Oh,
I'm thinking of Die Hard. I think I'm thinking of Die Hard. But that's now considered a Christmas movie.
Oh, yeah. It's always like generational because they've been on so many times. It's like, the grandfather, the father, the son. Everybody's seen them.
Mm-hmm.
Let's bond over something. Die Hard's a good thing. We can.
Well, I need to wrap her up. I'm fading.
Good work, guys.
Yeah.
Well, we got a lot done. We settled on a name.
I'm just so excited to find out you're a magician.
I'll try to come up with something for you.
That's crazy. I don't think many people I've never met a magician.
Oh, really?
You're the only one I know.
Is it still considered one of the dark arts?
I don't think anybody takes them seriously anymore.
I
can't imagine being a young magician, but I mean,
it's just a skill of it.
It's just a skill, yeah. Yep. And no matter, I mean, you would think that the internet would have killed the whole thing because it's based on secrets, and now anybody can Google anything. But I gotta say, I'm pretty proud of the magician community because it's not as easy to find the answers you might be looking for on Google as you would think it would be. You would think it would all just be there and it would all be ruined, but there's still some pretty well safeguarded secrets out there.
It blows people's mind to be tricked, though.
Some people it angers, which I thought you were initially alluding to, which I think is a really fun take on it too.
Well, it is. It's
some people hate magicians.
It's sort of frustrating. Like, dude, go away. I know this isn't real. Why are you messing with my brain? I'm just talking to my friends. You know.
There was a scene in a movie I saw recently where somebody did a trick or whatever, and it became this whole argument because the guy was like, "Well, if you would tell me how it was done, it could actually be interesting. Right. But because you're refusing to not talk about it, doesn't do anything for me. I know you're tricking me, and if you would just tell me how it's done, this could actually be interesting. But instead, you're wasting my time." I was like, eh.
But the power, I was watching some show. It was at I can't think of the guy's name now. Like the new Carl Sagan. What's that guy's name? Dyson or.
Oh yeah, Neil deGrasse Tyson.
Yeah, he was talking about how when Columbus came here, he needed to go back. They didn't have food to go back, so he was trying to get the Indians to be like, we need food to go back, and they were not like they grew the food they needed. They weren't it wasn't like nowadays where you have to have everything. They just had what they needed. So he knew like a solar eclipse was coming. I guess they could do that stuff. And he said, if you don't give me the food, I'm going to make the sun go away. And they were just like, he goes, I'll give you 5 days, And because he knew the way I guess they knew all that stuff. So the eclipse came and the Indians were like, oh my God, he's like, he's magic, So they gave him his food. So like magic has been used for like different reasons and purposes,
Yeah. Cortez did the same thing. Yeah. Using stuff they knew about to make it seem like they had magic abilities.
Right.
The photograph. There was a lot of stories, where native populations believed that they could, that the white man was stealing their souls. They would, by taking their photograph and showing it. There's so many ways to.
A little bit of knowledge can be powerful.
That's right. That's right. With that kind of power comes great responsibility. I try to only use my magic abilities and knowledge for good. To increase love in the world. But there's nothing you can do with some drunk dude at a bar that hates magicians. There's just no trick that'll set him free. So we should come up with a way out. What's our gimmick for getting out of the show?
A leaving song.
Which we just sort of did. That's a good.
But that's not a leaving song. But
Right.
A leaving song is you get moving.
Right. You gotta dance your way out the door.
Gotta dance.
A couple of minutes of me on the saxophone.
Along comes Mary was our
That's
favorite.
right.
Well, thanks for tuning in out there, everybody. Appreciate you so much. Tune in next time for the next episode of
I was supposed to say
Jawn.
Kim, if you watch, thank you for watching.
Hi, Kim. So, and also in Discord, if anybody has any ideas about the name or the branding, the Jabberjawn, just Jabberjawn. I don't know, we need a logo. Came up with a cool mouth earlier. We'll work on it. More later. See you next time.
Bye.
Peace, everybody.
Goodbye.
Good work.
All right.
That's a wrap.
That's a wrap. Well, that was nice.
Thank you.
So did you ever just do magic and not music? Like just a magic show?
No, never done. One time I was asked to come do magic for some kids at a school or something. That was the only time I've ever done a magic show. It's way more nerve-wracking doing magic for me than doing music. Hands will be shaking, failing a trick in front of people is way worse than failing You know, if I do a trick for you and I fail and reveal the secret,
Right.
I've ruined that trick for every magician that comes after me. To you.
Right.
Whereas if I do a bad version of a song, Catherine could come up and nail the song,
Right.
and I haven't ruined it for
Right,
her.
right.
I've actually set her up to shine. Whereas if I fail the trick for you, I've ruined it for her too.
Oh,
So
right.
You take on the whole responsibility of the
Wow.
entire idea of it.
Yeah.
You know, and it's a lot of pressure. It's a lot of pressure that I feel really intensely.
God, so no wonder
And you just look like an idiot
no wonder you didn't
messing a
want to
trick
fire.
up. Oh, you got to think about angles. You know, it's all angles, and with all these cameras everywhere, just suddenly doing a trick for you, my brain would be like, "Holy moly!"
Do you have blood capsules in your mouth and all that stuff?
I'm sure I've done something like this. Not standard order.
To distract in your hand. Oh my God, I can see I'm messing it up. Oh, I'm bleeding from the mouth. Oh. Is he all right? Is he all right? Let me get my hands scared that father.
Was this your card?
He's definitely done the "oh, I'm really drunk" thing, and like people watching are like, "oh bless, like Nathan's drunk and he's trying to do magic," and then he just like throws a card up on the ceiling, and he's like, "is that your card?" And they're like, "holy fucking shit!"
That's definitely a tactic I've employed too much. Is where you act incompetent,
Right.
just to lower people's expectations. So when it happens, you're.
Oh my gosh. You found respect for you.
Yeah, next week that'll be the first thing we do is a magic trick.
Before the cameras are on. Before the cameras are on.
Well, I mean, the way he's saying it's true. He doesn't. He's got all these angles on him.
Well,
He'll figure out homework. He's got to wait.
Yeah.
He's got to tie you up to do it. Though. Is that all right?
No, you. We're talking about you.
Wow.
You don't tie up your father. That's just wrong.
He just put you in a cube of ice like David Blaine.
Bye.
Love you.
Love you. Good to see you. All right. Thank you, son.
Do you want me to look more into Substack or?
Yeah, look at all of.
I'll find out more.
Look
What
at
about
more
just like an Adobe website? Is that passe
Well, he
now or
needs to be able to do it. He's
No,
not
but
good
you
at
said it. Oh, he couldn't just go in there and do it if I see.
It's either Substack
Thank
or
you.
It's either Substack or Sub Pop, whichever one you want to be on. So you got to make up your mind.
So do I really have permission to run with this Jabberjawn idea? To come up with a little logo for us and a little opening credits?
Me. I'm all right with it.
Still can't tell if it should be no the. Well, if y'all have any late night revelations, text me. The Jabberjawn.
Jabber Long John, actually.
The long Jabberjawn.
Put on your long Jabber John.
We'll be talking all night.
they're fun and interesting conversations. I have mixed feelings about being in here.